All right, our next musical group is the Beard and the Bird. Are there any kids in the audience who want to guess who's the beard and who's the bird? You. Kat says she's the beard. All right, so John up here owns a local music store in Ramona. I remember at the Bluegrass Festival, he had a musical instrument petting zoo. Really creative, really cool, passionate couple up here offering their music today. This is Kat and John Haas. We met each other. I just want to say one more thing. Kat and I met each other again today after having gone together to high school at Ramona High School, which is just so fun, and another just incredible thing about these community events that bring us all back to this beautiful city that raised us up. So thank you again, Rob and Judy and everyone that put on this event. Please put your hands together for the bird.
On tunes today. This is normally once a year I drag her out and she gets to play some Christmas music, but we got a wild hair, and now we're going to play a lot more than just Christmas. So this is our kind of first time out playing these tunes. We're normally doing like folk, western, swing, a little bit of jazz, whatever we can kind of come up with. So hope you enjoy. Sweet pea, apple of my eye. I don't know when and I don't know why, but you're the only reason I keep on coming home. Sweet pea, well, what's this all about? Don't get your way, all you do is fuss and pout, but you're the only reason I keep on coming home. I'm like the rock of Gibraltar, I always seem to falter and the woods get in the way. I know I'm gonna crumble, but I'm trying to stay humble. I never think before I say, well, well, sweet pea, keeper of my soul. I know sometimes, well, I'm out of control, but you're the only reason I keep on coming home. I always seem to falter and the woods get in the way. I know I'm gonna crumble, but I'm trying to stay humble. I never think before I say, well, well, sweet pea, keeper of my soul. I know sometimes, well, I'm out of control, but you're the only reason I keep on coming. You're the only reason I keep on coming. You're the only reason that I keep on coming home. How's it sound out there? Thank you, guys. I'm going to check my tuning real quick. Tune because we care. Yeah, so we're from up here in Ramona, and now we're splitting half our time here and half our time on the East Coast. We're bouncing back and forth, and it's been a blast kind of meeting all sorts of new people and falling in love with new styles of music. So this next one is by a wonderful artist out of the Midwest named Sierra Farrell. She's one of our absolute favorite songwriters. So yeah. So if you like the song, look her up. It's worth it. Don't be afraid of the darkness. No, don't be ashamed of the light. Your love for you's a deep blue ocean, baby. I just wanna slip inside. I wanna go with you everywhere. Yes, I would write your name on the stars. My love for you fuse of fire in motion, baby. I just wanna feel alive. We'll shiver, shiver and shake. Oh, my poor heart's gonna break. Can't wrap it around you. Oh, I don't know what I should do. Well, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? Why'd you fall in love? It's a hot fall from way up there. Come down, darling, that's enough. You left me with your body, but never with your heart. I'm gonna find somebody who won't tear my world apart. I wanna go with you everywhere. Yes, I would write your name on the stars. Love for you's a blue ocean, baby. I just wanna slip inside. We'll shiver, shiver and shake. Oh, my poor heart's gonna break. Can't wrap it around you. Oh, I don't know what I should do. Well, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? Why'd you fall in love? It's a hard fall from way up there. Come down, darling, that's enough. Well, come down, darling, that's enough. By Sierra Farrell. So this is we're blown away. This is great. This is an original tune called In Advance, and it's really cool being able to play the song with her, because for years I just kind of played it solo guitar, and now it just adds a whole new dimension to it. I love it. So this one's on iTunes. So this is a thank you, and I love you in advance. Can't wait to see you. Dying of romance, there will be good times, great nights, early mornings and late nights. So what do you say? We get this on the road. Got a lot of places to go, people to see and children to grow. Can't wait to see my daughter's eyes with such surprise for the very first time. This is a thank you. Can't wait to see your face when I lift up that veil, meet my new embrace. That will be the day we'll hear each other say, what took you so long? What do you see when you close your eyes? You see my face like I can see yours. What do you hear when you're all alone? Do you hear my voice like I can hear yours? Singing one day, I know these words will find you wherever you are. My heart won't be far. One day, when you're all alone, searching through memories, you'll stumble upon.
It was over there off the left.
So this is a thank you, and I love you in advance. Can't wait to see you. Dying of romance, there will be good times, great nights, early mornings and late nights. So what you say? Hey, hey. It's an original song called In Advance.
I'll come in and take care of stuff like that. And after like 2-3 years, they're like, you can just have them, just leave the honey on the porch. You know, it's like the.
This next tune's by, does anyone know Steve Earle? He's an amazing songwriter, right? So this is actually, so I'm going to totally disappoint you now. This is not his song. This is a song from his son, Justin Townes Earle, who's, yeah, okay, there you go. So he's an incredible songwriter, so this is one of my favorites by him. We're navigating the gale force winds up here.
Just do whatever it takes to make it.
Well, I got this woman, she don't treat me right. She just stay out drinking till the morning light, saying bye bye baby, wherever you may be. Well, you got them other man, don't know what you need from me. Well, so I went down to the station, got on the train, told the conductor, get this thing moving, man, saying bye bye baby, wherever you may be. No, 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 no. Well, you got them other man, don't know what you need from me. So I go down these railroad tracks, lead on down to Memphis, ain't coming back, saying bye bye baby, wherever you may be. Oh no, well you got them other man, don't know what you need from me. Well, say with honey, finally relax. Feels good to have you off of my back. Well, bye bye baby. Well, you got them other man, don't know what you need from me. Well, I got this woman, she won't treat me right. She just say I'm drinking till the morning light, saying bye bye baby, wherever you may be. No, no. Well, you got them other man, don't know what you need from me. Well, you got them other man, don't know what you need from me. Get up for the dancers too. Kicking up some dust, right way. So this next song is one of my favorite tunes by a songwriter out of Buffalo, and we became friends with him on Facebook and posted this song, and it was kind of one of the coolest things to come out of the whole lockdown craziness. So, you know, we all get locked up and then people create stuff, like if you've seen the Bo Burnham documentary, it's incredible. So this is my favorite song that came out of the lockdown. I'm gonna jump for joy, gonna strut around town with all my brand new toys, to spread a little love to the heart of every girl and boy. Well, when lockdown lifts, I'm gonna jump for joy. And when lockdown lifts, I'm gonna catch me a buzz, go out and have a few drinks, well, just because. Put on a record and see what these old feet does. When lockdown lifts, I'm gonna catch me a buzz. And when lockdown lifts, I'm gonna feed all my friends, feed my enemies boys too, cause it's time to make amends. If everyone gets hungry, gonna feed them all again. Well, when lockdown lives, I'm gonna feed all my friends. And when lockdown lives, I'm gonna have me a party. Gonna drink a bunch of Coca-Cola, maybe some Bacardi. Might have a cracker, a nice slice of Havarti. When lockdown lives, I'm gonna have me a party. And when lockdown lives, I'm gonna hug me a stranger. Won't be afraid of no sickness or no danger. It might be a nun, might be a park ranger. When lockdown lives, I'm gonna hug me a stranger. Well, when lockdown lives, I'm gonna thank me a nurse, keeping me out of that big black hearse, doing their job well all through the worst. Well, when lockdown lives, I'm gonna thank me a nurse. And when lockdown lives, I'm gonna tip servers more, tell them how much I appreciate them in the grocery store. Gonna write a letter to a doctor who's been fighting the good war. When lockdown lives, I'm gonna tip servers more. And when lockdown lives, I'm gonna jump for joy, strut around town with all my brand new toys, and spread a little love to the heart of every girl and boy. But when lockdown lives, I'm gonna jump for joy. It's a song by Tyler Weston. So we like jumping around doing fast stuff. This one's kind of medium tempo. This is by a song, actually a songwriter that I met at Running Sound at the main stage. I'd never heard of him, and I'm sitting there and just blown away. So I got a copy of his CD, and then I just wore it out in my CD
Everybody
player. So
wants
this
to
is
get
a
copies.
song by Wayne the Train
I believe
Hancock.
it. 6 hours of editing video.
The audio is recorded, so we'll see. In the first song. Yeah, I know.
Well, there's some big black clouds blowing in from the west. I've been driving all day, sure could use some rest. There's a motel up ahead where I can unwind. So I sure love thunderstorms and neon signs. I grew up on the road from town to town. Daddy's line of work kept us moving around. Got fond memories of the way things were back then. The warmth of a neon when a cold front is moving in. Listening to the Opry in a small cafe. We stopped to get a bite along the way. Whenever I begin to hear the wheels that whine, well, it takes me back to another time. Got a real nice room, the radio and TV. Clear hotel life, the only life for me. Looks like it'll be raining for quite some time. Mixed with lightning, it's the glow from a neon sign. Listening to the Opry in a small cafe. We stopped to get a bite along the way. Whenever I begin to hear the wheels next tune's kind of fun. This is one that we were hanging out downtown, and a friend of mine, or a bunch of friends of mine, were competing for this like songwriting contest to get their song on a compilation CD. And Kat's like, I think we can get enough people to vote. I have a big enough group of friends. Yeah, so she like sent it out to everyone she knew, and they voted, and then we got on this compilation CD. But there was no band, there was no song. She just thought she wanted to try against the contest. So
It's a lesson in marketing.
yeah, she was trying to prove that she's better at marketing, and she clearly was. So we got this, and so we're like, oh crap, well now we have to go to the studio, and we have to record this song. We have to write and record a song. So this is what we came up with, and it's kind of the beginning of this band, because she played, it's the first song she ever played upright bass on. So this is a song by our hypothetical band called The Riveting Tidbits. It's called To Be Determined. To fall in love if you're too afraid to stumble. Put your heart on your sleeve. Gotta be bold, you've gotta be humble. Getting her to sing a little bit more as she gets comfortable. Thank you guys. So we figured we'd do a song or two specifically for the event in a little bit different way. So this is a Louis Armstrong tune. I see trees green, red roses too. I I see them bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day and dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, the colors of the rainbow so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of the people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They're really saying I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of the people going by. I see friends go by, saying how do you do. They're really saying I love you. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Thank you, guys.
Make sure I'm still plugged in.
Okay, I'm ready to go Wanda. Okay, so this is a Wanda Jackson tune. Anyone know Wanda Jackson? Yes. Awesome. Wonderful songwriter. And she has a crazy sound too. When we found, like, a friend requested her song, I was like, oh, this is like cutting edge. Was this just put out? And they're like, no, this came out in the 40s or 50s. Like, what? So she was way ahead of her time by like 60 or 70 years. Pretty cool. My head is spinning and around as I go deep to the tunnel of love. I tried and tried to run away. I even tried to run away. You just can't run from the funnel of love. It's gonna get you someday. Get you someday. It's gonna get you someday. It's gonna get you someday. It's a Wanda Jackson tune.
Okay, good to see you. Hey, good to see you. Still thinking of them. About one person.
It's a Sinatra tune.
Yeah.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter or Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Well, fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter or Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, well, in other words, I love you. It's a Frank Sinatra song. Jazzed up a little bit. It's like he had a Red Bull or something before he played it. I think we got time for one more tune, just because that's what we got on our set. So this is another good song with the spirit of working together towards hopefully a more harmonious world in your relationships and with friendships and the whole world together. So this is Stand By Me. Has come and the land is dark and the moon the only light that we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me, stand by me, stand by me. And if the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountains should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. Oh, darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me, stand by me, darling, stand by me, whoa, stand by me, stand by me, stand by me. Thanks for having us, guys. We're the Beard and the Bird. Stay up tuned for who's next.
Thank you, Kat and John. Don't forget to visit John at his music store in town if you love that. They've gone there before. We have some fans in the front row over here that love the music store. What's the name of the music store? Ramona Music. Makes it easy. All right, now it's time for our second keynote speaker. So I know we were all really intrigued and impressed with Dan Cahan, with Dr. Dan Cahan, and all the information that he took the time to share. As I said before, both Dan Cahan and George Tynan, who's up next as our second keynote speaker, they both are experts in their fields. We are so lucky to be here in the community garden in this field in Ramona, listening to this incredible wisdom from these scientists who are experts in their field and really teaching us things that we all need to know in order to have a successful life for our children and our grandchildren. So let me tell you a little bit about Dr. George Tynan. He's here to tell us about near-term and longer-term steps to get to a net zero carbon energy system. I've really been looking forward to this talk. Dr. Tynan is the UWAMA Endowed Chair and Distinguished Professor, Department Chair, Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering Department, again at the UC San Diego Jacobs School of Engineering. Dr. Tynan's also the co-founder and the co-director of the UC San Diego Deep Decarbonization Initiative. So we're going to turn around, if you're facing the stage, and turn around to the man in the burgundy shirt. He'll be at the speaker stage if you're looking at the pulpit there or on it. You look at the one behind it, and Dr. George Tynan is
Thank you, Sarah Marie. Can you all, Rob, does it sound good? Okay. Well, it's a delight to be here, and I'm not used to hearing the echo, so I'll have to get used to that. It's my hope to talk to you for a couple minutes about solutions to climate change. Usually what we hear about is the disaster that's unfolding, and climate change is a very serious issue. But there are solutions out there, and that's what I want to talk to you about for 10 or so minutes. Let me first talk a little bit about energy, because that's kind of the key driver of this issue. Access to adequate amounts of energy is absolutely essential for the way all of us live our lives. Are you needing to tweak the sound a little bit? A little closer? Is that good? Okay. So access to enough energy is really critical for all of us. If you didn't, imagine your life for a moment, if you didn't have access to gasoline transportation, electricity, and heat, your life would be completely different. And so what we're talking about here is how do we maintain access to adequate amounts of energy without all the negative impacts that using fossil fuels to provide that energy cause. And that's what I want to speak to you about today. So we use energy in three main forms: electricity, fuel for transportation, and heat, either for our homes, for commercial uses, and for heavy industry. So transportation, electricity, and heat. And we have to find ways to get rid of the carbon from all three of those forms of energy. And what I'm going to talk to you about is a vision of what that looks like. And I hope to, if you take away nothing else, take away the fact that there are solutions. We simply have to implement them on the requisite scale. So the impact of using fossil fuels is pretty clear. They emit carbon dioxide when we burn those substances. CO2 goes into the atmosphere, and it's quite clear that it increases the heat insulation of the atmosphere. It's like throwing on an extra blanket in cold weather when you're in bed, and you get a little bit warmer because the insulation holds the heat in. Adding CO2 to the atmosphere does the same thing, but for the whole Earth. And so as a consequence, we've raised the average temperature of the Earth by about 2 degrees Fahrenheit over what it used to be back, say, mid-19th century. And it's increasing, and it will continue to do so until we stop adding CO2 to the atmosphere. So the question then is, how do we stop emitting CO2 and provide enough energy to meet all of our needs? And the detail that sometimes gets missed is the fact that about 2-3 billion people in the world don't have access to anywhere near enough energy. There's 1 billion people who don't have any electricity, none. And then about another 1 or 2 who have inadequate access. So in addition to solving the problem that we've all created, in a just world, we have to provide energy, clean energy, for everyone. So that's the challenge. And I want to sketch out for you what's solving that challenge, what meeting that challenge looks like. So how do we get rid of, frankly, over 40 billion tons per year CO2 emissions? That's what we have to do. And we have to do it in the next 25 to 30 years. By the middle of the century, we have to be to net zero carbon emissions. It's not just enough to stop the growth of the CO2 emissions. They have to go to zero. And we have to provide enough energy for 10 billion people. And that's the solution. That's the challenge, and the solutions exist. So the solutions look like this. Number 1, get the carbon out of the generation of electricity. And the way you do that is you use renewable energy, use solar thermal, solar PV, you use wind, you use geothermal energy, and we will probably, we'll talk about this in the Q&A if you're curious, we will probably have to consider either using nuclear energy or massive storage systems so that when the sun is not shining, when the wind is not blowing, we can still provide our electrical needs. It also means that we have to build some sort of transmission network over very large scales. And what I mean by that is, say, California needs electricity and it's cloudy in January, but Texas and the Midwest has lots of wind energy. They need to be able to ship that power to us, and vice versa. When they're having wind doldrums in the summer, we can send them electricity from our PV and our wind systems. So we need to deploy renewables, we need transmission, we need energy storage, and we need some sort of what's called dispatchable, that is, you can turn it on and off at will, carbon-free energy. And by the combination of those things, we can clean up our electricity generation. The good news is we're on our way to doing that, primarily because the costs of solar and wind have come down so dramatically. Solar power is now 10 times cheaper than it was 15, 20 years ago. To me, that looks like, that's a miracle, but that's reality. So that's step number 1, clean up the electricity system. Number 2, electrify everything that you can. So what that means is light-duty ground transportation, cars, light-duty trucks, and so on, probably will be electric, run with clean electricity, okay? It's much more difficult to see how you do the same thing for, say, long-distance aircraft or shipping, ships traveling across the oceans. So we have to invent a clean synthetic fuel that is a net zero carbon, some sort of liquid fuel. And that's, frankly, a new innovation that still has to be developed. But I know that there are many firms around in this country and elsewhere who are working on that. So look for those kinds of breakthroughs to clean up the entire transportation system. So all right, you clean up the electricity system, you clean up transportation, what's left? It's industry. And what I mean by that is it's mostly high temperature heat that you use to make stuff, steel, cement, fertilizer, plastics, all these commodity materials that take a very large amount of energy input, usually in the form of high temperatures, to drive chemical reactions. So to clean up that sector, we need new processes for making those materials, or we need some other form of clean heat that's carbon-free. So that's another place where innovation is needed. But I also know that there are many, many places, both in government-funded and in the private for-profit companies, working on those solutions now. So you have to look for those to emerge over the next decade or so. Other innovations that will probably be needed are some form of clean gaseous fuel. We use a lot of natural gas for high temperature heat and for making electricity. We'll either switch from fossil gas to renewably generated gas. That might be the technology that emerges in the next 5-10 years. Or it might be hydrogen, or some mixture of those gases. But those are other innovations that you should keep an eye out for. If there's a lesson to be drawn, I would draw your attention to the enormous cost reductions that we've seen in renewables in the last decade. That tells you that profound changes are possible. They just take hard work. If we can replicate the same kind of breakthroughs that we've had in renewables and now what's going on with cheap, high energy density batteries, if we could have the same kind of innovations in these last areas of the energy system, then a solution begins to emerge. So that's the high level, that's the scale of a country or the scale of the world. Let me just bring it down home to us here in San Diego and Ramona. What can you and I do in the near term in our lives to help make a difference? Well, when it comes time to replace a vehicle, so your existing vehicle's time to get a new one, look at an electric system, an electric vehicle. The costs are coming down. The costs are still a bit more expensive than traditional vehicle, but I can tell you probably in the next 4 or 5 years, they'll reach a break even, or maybe the electric even becomes cheaper. And as someone who drives one, I can tell you they're a lot cheaper to operate once you have them. And they're a lot easier to maintain. So try to electrify your own transportation system. Obviously use energy more efficiently. If you have an old house, think about adding better insulation so you don't need as much heat. When you have to replace your HVAC system, think about a heat pump, which is much cheaper to operate, and it runs on clean electricity. So you can get rid of your carbon footprint for your heating and AC of your home that way as well. And then finally, besides the actions that we can take individually in our own personal lives, hold the leaders accountable. Hold the leaders of corporations, of government, of policymakers, hold them accountable. And if they don't do what they need to do, then elect new leaders who will. If we do those things, and we drive innovation in clean technology, we can solve climate change. We can have a decent quality of life, not emit CO2 into the atmosphere, and have enough energy for the entire world. And I want to leave you with a vision. Imagine we do that. Imagine when your kids, there's a bunch of little guys running around here, imagine my daughter who's a freshman in college when she's a grandmother in 30 years or 40 years or so. We could have a world that has enough resources, energy and material resources for everybody, all 10 billion or so human beings in the world, and not have to fight each other over resources. That is the vision that is within about one generation's reach of where we are today. But we got a lot of work to do. And so between taking our own actions, holding leaders accountable, looking for innovation, and helping push those innovations into the marketplace to displace dirty technology, that's how we solve climate change. Thank you. And I'm happy to talk offline afterwards. Thanks.
Nice job.
Dr. Tynan, would you like to take a couple questions? Sure. Here, I have one for you. What do you think about the disposability of batteries for electric cars and how that interacts with and exchanges with the less need for fossil fuels?
We will have to develop a 100% recycled system for those technologies, and not just batteries, solar panels and wind turbines. We will have to deploy somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000 to 500,000 wind turbines. These are structures that are 300, 400 feet high, and they only last 20 years. So we will have to recycle them. Same thing with solar panels. So it has to be a closed system. No other way.
Anybody else have a question for Dr. Tynan? We have a few minutes here before our next presentation.
Oh, so there was a question over by me, Sarah Marie. Could I talk a little bit about the heating and air conditioning system? I was referring to what's called a heat pump, which it can operate like an air conditioner in reverse in the wintertime. So it can take heat out of the cold air outside and move that heat inside at an energy cost that's much, much lower than if you were just using, say, a gas heater. And it runs on electricity, not on gas. And then in the summertime, it runs like a normal air conditioner. Okay? It's called a heat pump. Yeah.
I have kind of a newish gas car, 2017. I would like to take an electric vehicle, but do you think it's more green to like run out my car because the energy it takes to build versus
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. The question was, I've got a fairly recent model, conventional, internal combustion engine car. Am I better off keeping it for its life and then replacing at the end of life with an EV, or should I replace it now? I haven't done any calculations on it. The honest truth is, if you sold that car, somebody else is going to buy it and they'll keep driving it. That's just reality. So I haven't worked the numbers, so I can't honestly tell you how it would pencil out. It's a good question.
Dr. Tynan, there was another question from the gentleman in the green shirt there, who was asking, right over here, he was asking about how much you've been into sort of national and international energy storage, and what are some solutions for local energy storage and sustainability?
This is for, I assume you're talking about electricity storage? Or like this region. We all do.
Can I share my solar power with my neighbor, or is that illegal?
It's not, I don't know if it's illegal. You can't just ship your power over to your neighbor through SDG&E's power lines. Certainly you could. I wouldn't encourage it unless you hired a qualified electrician. But the larger question is to have renewable energy that's 24/7 available. You got to have storage, and right now that technology mostly looks like batteries. Well, then you got to have two Lake Ramonas at different elevations and run a pipe between them. It could, in principle, be done. Actually, SDG&E is doing that with San Vicente Reservoir. They're building another lake. I don't know where the heck out in the mountains, and they'll run the power. It's called pumped hydro storage. They're arguing over it. So, yeah. Any other questions? No. You guys would have to have what's called you'd have to have a microgrid in this area, which in principle could be done. Sure. There's these community power cooperatives. You guys could try to, maybe Ramona could try to form something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you'll still, every microgrid has a connection to the larger grid just as a backup. Our campus, UCSD, is its own microgrid, and we have a connection to the grid, to San Diego. But most of the time, we just make our own electricity.
The newspaper just reported that the Cal Fire attack has
Yeah.
a microgrid.
Yep.
They wouldn't share with us. What was that?
Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tynan. If you have any last minute questions, George will be around for a little bit here, I think. Go ahead and find him and ask those.